Hi, my name is April Fegley. I am offering this presentation as part of my organizational psychology course at Juniata College. I will be exploring the issues that impact creatives experiencing burnout and how that will impact an entire organization. But first, we're going to explore what the term burnout means. It gets used a lot. Some may use it to simply mean tired or momentarily stressed, but true burnout is crossing that line between really tired and too exhausted to function. It's that feeling when you walk into the office, you put your bags down, you sit in front of the computer, and you simply stare. The Cleveland Clinic describes it as a physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion accompanied by decreased motivation, lowered performance, and negative attitudes toward oneself and others. Sounds like fun, right? Who doesn't want to go into a workplace filled with burnt out zombies? But too often, that's exactly what's happening. While burnout can happen in any field of employment or any type of work, creatives, those whose careers require design, art, videography, writing, are especially heavily impacted. So, we're going to explore why burnout in the creative sector matters. How does it hinder an organization's mission? Why is it worth the investment of resources to mitigate this phenomenon? And what are some proven methods for preventing and correcting burnout? First of all, isn't burnout a personal problem? Why does it matter to the organization? The three components of burnout are emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and diminished personal accomplishment. People who are emotionally exhausted, not mentally present, and don't feel satisfaction or take pride in their work, they're most certainly not producing their best work. I think of it rather like that old Snickers commercial in which somebody's hungry and suddenly there's someone completely different, but supplying them with a chewy and crunchy snack. As soon as it unwraps, they are back to their normal self. So, if you're not you when you're hungry, you're certainly not you when you're burnt out. Burnout is an organizational problem. Employees who are burnt out are much more likely to be preparing to leave their job, whether that's a conscious decision or a subconscious decision they just haven't realized yet. Being mentally checked out is usually a predictor of preparing to physically check out. Turnover substantially impedes progress toward an institutional mission. As historical knowledge is lost with senior employees who have left, and then time needs to be allotted as new onboarding needs to happen. That constant cycle of losing historical knowledge and onboarding new employees, that is detrimental to an organization in pursuit of a goal. It's like a train that has to stop every 100 feet to get repairs. They're never going to make the next station. And burnout tends to be somewhat contagious. So, research conducted by Duploy and Root, published as Work Engagement, Burnout, and Related Constructs as Predictors of Turnover Intentions in the SA Journal of Industrial Psychology, published in South Africa, presents these findings. Creatives are kind of like sleeper agents in most organizations. You may not see them or even think about them until you need that perfect graphic for a campaign, verbiage for a fundraising letter or grant application, perfectly curated to capitalize on heartstrings, an updated web design that is perfect for getting your audience's attention, or an engaging video to communicate with your audience and tell your organization's story. To a coworker or a manager with a mindset that productivity is measured in, well, production, the work of a creative may seem very closely related to play. After all, You're working with colors and words and images and ideas rather than dollars or widgets. You're discussing the right shade of blue or just the right word, or looking at photographs and arguing the merits of one over another. It can look like fun until it isn't. When the workload becomes burdensome and the focus is on getting it done rather than finishing it. The Human Resource Executive Network, SHRM, published an article, Creatives Are More Likely to Experience Burnout, and highlighted the fact that employers are less likely to address burnout in their creative departments, even though that's where the phenomenon is most likely to rear its ugly head. Failure to course correct when needed and dismissing the contributions of their creatives only amplifies the effects of burnout, and it signals rough roads ahead for the organization. Earlier, I expressed a difference between getting the job done and finishing the job. Sounds like I'm saying the same thing, but bear with me, I'm not. Working on a creative task on a tight deadline can be exhilarating in limited instances. It's a rush. You hear the Mission Impossible theme in the background and you power through and delivering it, just skidding under the falling boulder from Indiana Jones. It's amazing. It's a rush. It's a feeling like no other. Once. But when you're asked to repeatedly perform miracles again and again and again, your pride in your work decreases. You are slinging grub in a greasy diner when you want to be plating delicacies in a 5-star restaurant. Worse, your employer doesn't recognize the difference between those scrambled eggs and that filet mignon. The emphasis is on volume, not quality. Both How to Recover from Creative Burnout, a blog feature published by software giant Adobe, and Why is Burnout So Damaging to Creativity, an episode of The Way We Work, a TED series, underscores the ways in which burnout makes creatives less creative. These experts stress that supportive leadership makes all of the difference. To be a supportive leader, shift the focus away from productivity and allow more freedom, time, and space for creativity. Encourage experimentation and innovation. Recognize and respect the time and talent that goes into creative effort. So what does all of that look like? You know, an organization leader may say, my employees are looking a little crispy around the edges. What do I do? Burnout's already here. Counter that productivity narrative. That is central to this message. Being at work does not have to mean being hunched miserably over a desk like Bob Cratchit for 8 hours a day. Give space for your employees to space out. The Academy of Management Journal published Zoning Out or Breaking Through, a paper that definitively links daydreaming with creativity in the workplace. Allowing the mind to wander provides the brain time to process new information. Daydreaming relieves stress. It allows your brain time to buffer, like a computer running a background program, only that background program is a complex cognitive concept. Daydreaming makes you more efficient in problem solving. Along with daydreaming, go outside or pretend to. The research presented in Exposure to Nature versus Relaxation During Lunch Breaks and Recovery from Work, published in BMC Public Health, encourages a brief nature walk, or if that's not possible, exposure to a nature-based video or audio as an effective way to both counter burnout and reinvigorate creativity. These moments in nature, whether they are actual or virtual, disrupts burnout's negative feedback loop. It implements recovery techniques to lower stress and anxiety. It improves organizational outcomes when encouraged by the employer. If my employer cares about me, I care about my organization that employs me. So, in summary, it's always nice when what appears to be a really thorny, widespread problem can be mitigated with some low-cost, easily implemented changes. The challenge in this requires culture change, which can be more difficult for an organization than simply throwing some money at the problem and purchasing a new program or training. But the recommendations that are cited encourage your creatives to check out a bit, whether that's in their own head or physically, to counter burnout. If an organization leader does this, the results should provide enough evidence on their own merit to support the culture change necessary. Thank you.